Alright, so let's begin with our animation tutorial. So as you know, an animation is basically making something like a shape or an object move across your screen without the user's input. So for example, in Pac-Man, the ghosts move around the screen without the user's help. The Pac-Man, on the other hand, is moved around using the mouse or the keyboard, and you have already learned how to do that. So just as a reminder, to move something around on your screen, you need to set variables for that image or that object. By changing the variables, the coordinates x and y, it will appear that that object is being animated. Okay, so what I need you to do is download the animation1.java applet and have a look at it. It is going to move a red square around on your screen, and I'm going to step you through the code so you understand what's going on. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is notice that there's this new term implements runnable that's added to applet. You need this term in order to do animation. Everything else stays the same. Next, in order to make a red square move across my screen, I've created two variables. In this case, I've called it bx and by. You can call your variables anything you want. They need to be integers. All right, in the init section, so you know that the init section runs only once, I have initialized the coordinates and I've set them to some random numbers on my screen. In this case, the bx is set from anywhere from 0 to 2000, which is the width of my screen, and the by is set anywhere from 0 to 750, which is the height of my screen. I've also set the background color to black. Here is a new section called Start. You need this section in order to do animation. You don't need to change anything in this section. You simply need to copy and paste it as is. Okay, you're familiar with the Paint section. In the Paint section, I've grabbed the red color pen, and then I've drawn a fill rectangle using the coordinates bx and by, and the size of my rectangle is a square. It's 20 by 20 pixels. The run method. Okay, so this is a new method. This method will actually create the animation for you, and I'm going to step you through this method line by line. You will notice that there is a while loop in this method. In this case, I've set the while loop to true, which means this animation runs forever. It never stops. In some other cases, like a game, you may want your animation to stop when there's a collision or when you reach a high score, in which case you will change that condition. You will remove the true and you'll replace it to a specific condition that meets your game criteria. All right, inside the while loop, I have repositioned bx and by. I've generated two new random numbers, which means that the square is going to be moved. I then call the repaint method. So after I have repositioned the bx and by, I call the repaint method, which will basically repaint my screen using those new coordinates. And finally, this part here controls the animation, the try and catch. The number 150 represents how slow or fast the animation will move. 150 is a measurement in milliseconds, and so the larger the number is, the slower your animation will be. You can change that number and play around with it, increase it or decrease it to make your animation go faster or slower. Everything else stays the same. And when you run your animation, hopefully your red square will dance across your screen.